New moms need a ton of help. They give you 3 Advil and a bowl of Rice Krispies at the hospital, pat you on the bum, and send you on your way when you're literally trying to assemble a diaper for yourself so your insides don't fall out on the floor. There is barely any infrastructure for new moms. I am constantly shouting that from the mountaintops. We need national paid leave, more affordable childcare. We would love to eliminate the possibility of dying while giving birth, just to name a few things. We don't need $5,000. Well, sure, we need $5,000. We would take $5,000, but the help simply cannot stop there, which is why I have some serious choice words for Trump's proposed baby bonus. If you missed it, he recently suggested paying a woman a bonus of $5,000 for every baby they have. I'm sure they would find a way to only pay for new white Christian babies because you know what? They got this idea from Hitler and Stalin, who did similar things. You want to pretend that you care about women and families? Then don't. Focus on hollow natalist messages. Focus on funding women's health initiatives. Pass paid family leave. Pay our child care workers a living wage. Don't gut HHS or the Department of Education. I don't know. Protect the environment. Pass sensible gun control. All of these things go into creating healthier, safer families. If you are convinced to have a baby by the prospect of being gifted a one-time bonus of $5,000, then girl, you do not know how expensive diapers are. We will take the $5,000, but definitely more stuff needs to go along with it in the baby basket. This is Choice Words. I'm Samantha Bee. My guest this week is Connie Britton, an incredible actor and an even better person. And she is the creator and host of the new show, The Motherhood. And you can also see her in Amazon's Overcompensating out soon. We talked all about what it means to be a mom and ask for the help you need. It is the perfect pre-Mother's Day episode. So take a listen and make good choices. Welcome to Choice Words. Oh my goodness.
I am so excited. Choice Words. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, stop it.
I am. I love that you're doing this.
It's
so great. We need it. We need you.
And you know what? And we need you. And I'm trying to reflect on, because we have met before and we both know Asif Manvi from The Daily Show. I worked with him for a long time. You worked with him too. Can you tell me what is the triangle of us having met in the past? It's through Asif, right?
I feel like we met at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Yes.
Right? Doesn't that ring a bell?
Totally rings a bell.
Back in the good old days.
Back in the good old days when those things were slightly normal and fun.
Right.
We had some stability. Some stability. Nobody's claiming it was perfect.
Nobody's claiming that.
Nope.
Never has been.
Never has been.
Seemingly never will be.
Tell me how you're doing now in this world that we're living in. I want to talk about your new project because I think it is very additive to
thank you.
The world.
I was driving my son to school this morning. Yeah. And there's a song by Doechii. Mm-hmm. Do you know that person?
Yes. Oh, yes. I know Doechii.
She's very amazing.
Very.
But I know all these things because of my son, who's now 14.
Okay.
And her song is called Anxiety. And I was listening to that song and I was thinking to myself, I do think she's such a brilliant voice of this moment in her generation. But yeah, I was thinking oh gosh, these kids are growing up with so much built-in anxiety.
Right.
Because there is so much instability in our world. First we had COVID.
Yes.
And now we have whatever is happening right now.
Oh my goodness. And your son is 14, which really means he had a deep awareness of COVID and learning at home.
He sure did. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
But also the impact of that, the
Yeah.
impact of whatever it was to lose those 2 years of socialization. And so, frankly, those 2 years of education, because, and by the way, I have to say, my son did pretty well through COVID. Like,
Mhm.
I didn't see a major, like, distinguishable impact on him
Mhm.
during that period. But sort of, I think as a whole, when I look at the kid, he's in 8th grade now, and I look at all of them, you kind of recognize like, oh, there were educational pieces that feel like they got interrupted,
Right.
and certainly social aspects that were interrupted, and or habits that were created to
Mhm.
replace what would have been a more social environment
Right.
that now are so, embedded in these kids.
Yes. Like, I mean, moving all of the learning to devices and
Yeah.
computers is very difficult to unwind.
Yes.
Like how much everybody socialized online. And now, so many parenting experts are like, you got to get off your screen. I'm like, we fully expected them to like modify their innate behavior to learn
Right.
from a computer. And now
Yes.
we're trying to undo, like, that's
Totally.
very
Like,
difficult.
by the way, that was a huge transition for them. But also, as I think we pretty much could agree on, like, there is an addictive quality to these
Yeah.
screens, to all of the media that we're being fed in these screens. I mean, my son still does not have a phone. He's
Great.
14 years old.
Yep.
I think that those days are numbered, but I'm sort of every day that I can get away with it, and he's still not ready to completely destroy our relationship. I'm like, amazing. But because I really do. I'm aware of my own addiction to this thing.
Right.
And like all the things that I do without even thinking about it on my phone.
Yes.
And so why I wouldn't give my kid any other addictive substance? Like why, and yet that's what we did. They were required to manage that thing that really has all of these pushes and pulls.
Yes.
And also, frankly, as parents, we don't know how to deal with it either.
Yeah, we're kind of adrift also. And then like I feel like we gave them their devices like full time, and then but also untethered online gambling. We were like, you know what? Why don't we just show ads for gambling read by your favorite celebrities? Wait, huh? Wait, who?
No.
If I have a 60, so we have children in the same kind of age. Like I also have a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old and a 19-year-old. So they're like tending older, but also 14. But my 16-year-old son and all his friends are like, should we become really good at gambling? I'm like, nope. Here's 1,000 reasons why. And he's like, oh, I understand. But you have to, it's like, you're unwinding. So listen.
But good for you as a parent that he's asking you should become good at gambling. He's actually he wants your influence on that, which is congratulations.
He's like, can I get access to your bank account so I could just do like some online trading? I'm like, I don't know how fast. Like sometimes I'm like, I don't know how fast I can say no to this idea. I want to go back in time so I can say no before you even ask it.
and how clearly I can clarify the clearness of clarification that this is a terrible idea.
Let me take you down to the grocery store and you can apply for a job. And then when you get a job, you can, I'm just going to feel free to just experiment. With all that money you worked so hard.
With all that money.
all that dough that you earned. So much.
That grocery store dough.
Go to town. Okay. So we have established this podcast is called Choice Words. I do want to talk to you. I feel like you're a very smart lady. I feel like you make great choices.
You do?
I feel like I'm going to ask you how you make choices. Like how do you make big decisions for yourself? Are you excellent at it? Are you a
Oh,
champion?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I'm not. But I don't know. Now that you say so, maybe
Yeah,
that's
I
true. And
don't
maybe
know,
I should
maybe.
start saying, yeah, I'm very good at it.
Like gold medal, Olympic
Gold
level.
medals. One of the choices, I like when I became a mom,
Yes.
I adopted my son from Ethiopia. That was a great choice.
Yes.
But also a challenging choice. I didn't really know what I was getting into when I did that, but I knew it was something I wanted to do, and I did it. I set my mind to it, and I did it.
Right.
I'm so glad that I did.
Yes.
But then I got offered this role in the show Nashville,
Yes.
and I had just adopted my son, like maybe a month or two earlier.
Okay.
And I got offered this role in the show Nashville, and I thought, well, that would be really cool to like work with these amazing musicians and sing. Oh, I can sing. You know how I know I can sing? Because I have this new baby at home and I sing to him all the time and I sound great.
He loves it.
So sure, I can sing. And it checked all the boxes of all the ways that I've always made decisions in my life, in my nascent career. And so I was like, yes, I'm going to do that. And I shot Friday Night Lights in Austin, Texas, but that was a great experience. I loved moving to Austin, Texas. This was going to require that I move to Nashville, Tennessee, but it's going to be just like moving to Austin, Texas, except of course it wasn't because I wasn't a mother when I moved to Austin, Texas.
Right.
So then I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, because I made the decision like I've made every other decision in my life, except that there just was one little tiny change, which is now I had a tiny, tiny infant at home.
Tiny baby.
Tiny baby.
Tiny baby. Tiny baby needs
tiny baby needs
all the time.
Mommy.
All the time.
And also no significant other, no partner, no helper. So then we moved to Nashville, and I also didn't know anybody in Nashville, Tennessee. And so suddenly I got to Nashville, Tennessee. And also I did the show because, going back to your question about making choices, I did it because I thought it was going to be a great challenge.
Yeah.
And I wanted that. Like I wanted something really, like I had never done this before. Like I wanted that. So cool, except that means you're going to be working like 18 hours a day.
Yes.
But still I have that baby thing that I hadn't put that into the calculation. You know what I mean?
And they don't really just tend to respect your working hours. Like they don't have a strong sense of like, let's let her rest right now.
Oh, yeah. And I learned that too, like in real time. Like, oh, he's on his own path, his own baby path.
Yeah.
Like he is this whole other human being, and he has a whole bunch of different needs. He's got a completely different agenda, basically, than the agenda that I have been creating for these many years, you know, in my career, because love having the opportunity to do these wonderful shows.
Yes.
That wasn't his agenda, and he was not consulted.
He was not. He did not approve this
and message. He did not approve it, and he let me know it.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I mean, just by being a baby, he let me know it.
So you're like, I love this challenge. Why don't I take on triple the challenge that I was thinking I was taking on?
Right. Triple the challenge. And also no support system.
Yes.
Didn't know anybody in Nashville, Tennessee. So I'm also like, oh, how do you do a baby? Like, what are you supposed to do? I don't know. Right. What am I supposed to do any minute of any day? I have no guidebook. I have no experience. Right. And also, I've got a job to do. I know how to do the job, sort of, but not really, because also it's singing. I don't really know how. So I got to figure that out too. And so, yeah. So it was kind of crazy. That was a big awakening moment for me, getting back to your question about making choices, which is that's one of those moments where I'm like, it made me recognize that I had been making choices the same way for most of my adult life.
Right.
And then there was a big change. Right. And I didn't know well enough to know that I needed to take into account the big change. And so I think that's sort of the hardest part of making choices and making decisions is knowing that we're constantly in motion and it's a fluid experience and your needs today are going to be different than what your needs were 5 years ago, and what you want from a job or whatever, And so the biggest key that I've learned about trying to make good choices is taking into account all of the variables in this exact moment right now.
Right.
And
just sometimes the variables just cannot be known to you. And it's natural.
Yes.
It's okay.
Well, also as an actor, as an artist, as any, like the whole thing is always about taking risks.
Right.
But taking a risk means that you actually really might fail, or you really might not have all the information, or it may be too much.
Right.
And so it's kind of, it becomes, especially as a parent, I've found that it becomes this juggle between trying to create some stability, but still keeping the idea of risk taking alive,
Yes, it is. It's really tricky.
Yeah.
Because also your children, and this is all just dovetailing perfectly into talking about the show that you have created.
Yeah.
But it's like your children also need, like, they need 10 million things. Like they always need lots of things, but they also do need to see you take risks.
Right.
With no expected promised outcome. They need to see you being a full human being.
Yes. Yes.
Laughing, crying, being mad, being sad.
Yep.
Hopefully laughing more than crying, but like they need to see a fully realized human being.
True.
To be able to to step into themselves.
Yes.
So I think it's great. I think that's so cool that you did that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. And honestly, it's funny because I ended up growing so much from that experience. And so did my son.
Yeah.
And it shaped him into who he is. To this day, he's still, we left Nashville when he was 6, but he's still always like, Mom, when are we going back to Nashville?
Right.
Like, he's so nostalgic about Nashville.
That's so sweet.
And I'm like, you've lived more of your life outside of Nashville than in Nashville, but he always has this idyllic notion of what Nashville was. So,
like those beautiful golden years when they're just like learning to smile and making you laugh. Like, just, I could go back there in a second.
Right?
I love that time.
I know. But I love that you just made that point, because I mean, even to this day, sometimes it's hard for me. And by the way, going back also to my show, which I know we'll talk about in a minute, but like, even though so much of the message of my show to the single moms on my show is, you need to know and understand that you deserve, it is essential actually for your well-being and for the well-being of your child, for you to take care of yourself and for you to make yourself a priority, because that your child is going to see that and know that you value yourself and feel valued than him or herself,
100%.
But even as we say that, I'm kind of like, well, I know, but sometimes I have to go away for work and it's really hard for him, all that stuff.
Right. Of course. I mean, we're always like, it's always, no one's doing it perfect. I feel like if anyone's doing it perfectly, they're not doing it perfectly. Like, they're just pretending to do it perfectly.
Great point.
There is no perfection.
True.
And we're all flawed, and it's impossible for us to believe, but our children are also flawed.
Oh, they're not.
No, I mean, not ours, other people's.
Some are.
Some.
But not ours. But that's just lucky for us.
We're just blessed. Like most children.
Hashtag blessed.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. With sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so you can reach the people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Plus, with Indeed sponsored jobs, there are no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. When I was looking to hire someone, honestly, it was really quite overwhelming. I wish I had used Indeed. How fast is Indeed? In the minute I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Sam Bee. Just go to Indeed.com/Sam Bee right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/Sam Bee. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed is all you need. I will never forget, and I don't think I've ever said this in any context to anyone outside of like my own personal life. I don't think I've ever recorded this statement that I'm about to make, and I want to get it right. Jason and I, when I was pregnant with my first baby, we were just like, I don't know. I'd never even held a baby, like just babies. I'm an only child, like a small family. They were just like not in my life. I was like, what is a baby? I don't think I ever touched one before. Never babysat, nothing like that. So I was like, well, I hope I like it. Like, this is a leap of faith.
Yep.
So this will be good. And we knew one couple. We only knew one other couple because we're kind of older than everybody in our friend group. So we were kind of the first. And we met this one couple, and they had a baby. And like we had in our heads that when there's a baby, you're supposed to just like be quiet all the time, and like you just have to like turn the lights off gently, and like if you put them to sleep, and you gently turn the lights out, and then you sneak out of the room. And they were so the opposite of that. When they had their baby, they just were themselves. And we were so confused because we were like, I don't understand why you're not making all these accommodations for this baby. And they were like, no. He's the new one. He's the newcomer. He needs to figure out how to live in our family that we already have.
That's so deep.
It was so deep for us. And I never forgot that lesson. I was like, right, we're already people.
Right.
And we don't need to change who we are to make this baby feel comfortable. The baby needs to adjust to us so that we go to sleep when we want to. Like, so that, because we have a way of living.
So did you start stomping around and stuff?
Yeah, we started, well, mostly we just got our rock band together.
Yeah.
And we just play all hours of the day or night. You know us. You know us. We rock.
Amazing.
We rock hard.
Do.
It's handy that we're nerds and decently quiet and like kind of don't do too much. We don't have like a super high test nightlife, but like I did like that, just that framework of like, oh, now welcome. This is how we live in this house.
I love that framework.
This is the temperature we keep it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You're hot.
You're hot.
Take something off.
Take something off. You're cold. This is why we have sweaters. This is why we have sweaters and socks. Mm-hmm. It's okay.
That is so, that is so brilliant and so true and important to remember.
We can be ourselves. We truly can. Like, okay. So I want to talk about the motherhood because what a concept. It's a great concept. So you pitched this show. This is your creation. Can you talk about what it is?
Yeah. So going back to that Nashville time.
Yeah.
You know, I was very much struck by the trauma in a way, or that moment when I got there and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to work this big giant job, and I have this brand new baby, which is also a big giant job, and I'm all by myself. And by the way, thankfully, I was able to afford a nanny, which I couldn't have done this without having a nanny. But I recognized as I was there that there are many single parents who don't have those kind of resources. How are they doing it? Like, how? And they're working 3 jobs. they're working just as many hours as I am and trying to raise their kids. And what I learned as I was there was how important it was to have a community, because I quickly realized I cannot do this by myself.
Right.
And, I'd come to a place where I really didn't know anybody. And so, and then there was a dear friend of mine who did costumes on our show, was also a single mom of 4 kids.
Okay.
Her husband had passed of brain cancer.
Wow.
So she was left with 4 kids. She was working costumes on this crazy, ambitious show that was shooting 18-hour days.
Yeah.
And one day I was off. I happened to be off work that day, but she was at work and she calls me up and she goes, I forgot to give Jed lunch money this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jed was at school without lunch money and without lunch. And since I was off, I said, you know what? I'll swing by the school. I'm going to drop off $5 at the front office for him.
Right.
Which I did. But in that moment, I was thinking to myself, wouldn't it be great if there was some kind of like volunteer organization or something where people could volunteer to go grocery shopping for single parents, or to just sit with the kids for a couple hours so a single mom can do the million things that she needs to do that she's not making time to do, or something like that. I'm like, that would be so amazing. Like basically something that would sort of kickstart resources in a community specifically for single parents who can't necessarily afford that and don't necessarily have people around. And so that was kind of the inception of this idea. And I ended up connecting with the people at Scout who created the show Queer Eye. Or originally it was Queer Eye for the Straight Guy.
Yeah.
But then it became Queer Eye. And they're the best of the best. And we started talking about this idea. And so our show is kind of using that model. But the idea is that we have sort of expert helpers, moms. I call them the neighbor ladies, because when I was growing up, I grew up in Virginia and I grew up on a cul-de-sac, and every afternoon at 5:00, the neighbor ladies would come over and have their glass of wine, and everybody would chit chat about their day and raising kids and all the things that they were trying to do in the world. And I grew up seeing the women in my neighborhood supporting each other.
Right.
And recognizing for my mother, who actually wasn't a single mother, but recognizing how invaluable that was for her. So anyway, in honor of my mother and all those women, we called the neighbor ladies on our show.
Nice.
And so each episode we have a different single mom, and we go in and we meet them and we recognize sort of what they're dealing with and where they're at. And then the neighbor ladies come in, and one of them is sort of like a self-love stylist, like basically trying to encourage all of us to dress for your body, to love your body, to wear things that make you feel beautiful and special, and that it's okay, that you're worth getting clothes that make you feel good. Right. Because so many of these moms are like, oh, I'm not going to buy something for myself because I have to buy what my kid needs.
Right.
And again, it's like not putting that value on your own needs. Anyway, so we have that's Taryn. And then we have Destiny, who's a parenting coach, who's brilliant. Right. And honestly, the show is about single moms, but it's the advice and sort of like the experience of it is so universal. I'm hoping that people, I think parents of any, whether you're single parent or not, and I think frankly, even if you're not parents at all, I think I'm hoping everybody will find something in the show that feels really resonant for them, because it's all just human, there's nothing more fundamental and primal than the experience of being a child or being a parent. And we've all done one or both of those things.
Oh, 100%. And sometimes you just need to parent yourself.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So all of these things, everything that we talk about on the show is so resonant. And yes, our third amazing neighbor lady is Angela, and she is like this incredible DIY expert.
Yes.
And she's able to come into spaces and create the space that they need. to make sure that the mom has space as well as the kid and all those things. Anyway, so that's kind of the premise of the show. And each week, much like Queer Eye did, we really see the lives of these moms get changed forever.
Right.
And a big part of why that's happening, and a big part of the whole idea of the show, is creating a community. So even we start with 6 episodes and we have 6 moms plus our neighbor ladies. That's the beginning of our motherhood community. And I'm hoping that this is going to become this ongoing thing. And I really want to have it end up being also an organization that people can reach out to for resources, so that really it becomes an accessible community for people who need it and people who need this help, so that single parents aren't feeling alone in it anymore, you know?
Yes, because it feels so lonely, like in the dark of night.
Yes.
When you're with your baby and your baby's crying or not crying, or just like awake in some, or you know, you're butting heads in some way.
Right.
You don't know what to do, or, you know, your baby's fussy and you don't know why. It needs a little warm. It's so scary.
So scary.
It's so scary. And it's not necessarily helpful to only go online or read a book, because opinions, everybody's got one. Sometimes you just need the community of another person to go, it's going to be okay. I've seen this before. Sometimes that's all you need. It's like, oh, I've seen this before. I got it.
Exactly. And especially someone who knows you.
Yes.
And knows your child.
Yes.
Because you're going to go online, that's just generalized information that may or may not even be true. You know what I mean? So, but what you also described, that loneliness, the loneliness and the scariness of the loneliness.
Right.
You know, think of how many thousands of times that you as a parent, and even though you're married, still I'm assuming you as a parent had those moments where it's like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Thousands of times. Over
thousands
and over.
of times. And like, even when you're partnered up, you go like, okay, just remembering when Jason had appendicitis, and of course would not seek medical attention until midnight on a Tuesday in a snowstorm. You know what I mean? Like, just terrible.
Terrifying.
And you've got like little babies. You can't just leave them. You
No.
can't just go like, bye kids, I'll text you in the morning. Like, they're babies. You actually don't leave.
You actually can't leave.
You actually can't leave.
No.
And it's not at all the same thing, but there are moments in any situation where a community would be helpful. A community is like kind of the magic, kind of the special sauce for human existence.
Well, going back to our initial conversation.
Yes.
I was at a rally recently.
Yeah.
And somebody had a sign that was a quote. I can't remember who the quote was by, but the quote was something along the lines that said something like, there is no tyranny. There can be no tyranny when there is community and love.
Right.
And it was so like, I saw that and I'm like, because this whole show is about creating community and love, because ultimately that's what we need to do as human beings right now. And I thought it was so interesting to see that reflect. I'm like, oh, this is really, not only is this important for single parents, this idea of community, it's absolutely important and essential for all of us, and particularly at this moment in time. You know, we were just talking about with COVID and coming out of COVID and the situation we're in at the moment right now in terms of how divided we are as a country. Like, it is absolutely essential for our humanity that we go back to the idea of community and love.
And because, you know, I do feel like, you know, being so online and being so entrenched in our viewpoints also kind of means that we're finding community. Like, you can see everybody seeking community, and sometimes it takes a very negative form. You know, you sometimes I think of like the Capitol rioters, and I go, oh, right. What you're really after is like-mindedness. What you're really seeking is belonging. And so people can destructively join things for
Right.
that sense of belonging. So it is like, in some ways, in our modern age, something we have to choose very specifically.
Yeah.
Like, we
That's
have
an
to
interesting
choose
point.
it. We have to like fight for it.
That's a really important argument for the love piece of that quote.
Yes, exactly.
Because it's funny, I mean, not funny, but hearing you say that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a really good point. But it's when I think about community, I've always thought about inclusion, not exclusion,
Right,
when I think about community.
right.
And what you're talking about is exclusion, which you're right. We've seen a lot of examples of that in the
Well,
last
people,
few
a
years.
yearning, like, but it all kind of comes down to like a yearning to find your people, like a yearning for some type of belonging. So, like, choosing beneficial community, choosing community that feeds you,
Yeah.
that's like additive, is the second ingredient. It's like another ingredient. I'm doing a show, like a traveling show about menopause, actually. And
Ooh,
it's yeah.
good for you.
Woo! Thank you. I love talking about it. It's actually one of my favorite things because there's no information.
No, nobody talks about
Nobody
it.
talks about it.
No.
And like, a big part of my live show, or like kind of the concluding element, is like, we have to share information about this peer to peer. Nobody's going to do it for us.
No.
And so when I watched your show, I was like, it's two halves of the same whole. It's like finding people who are additive in your life and sharing. You know, what I really liked about, I think your show's really very beautiful. It's very beautiful because you are sort of like meeting women where they live, literally where they live, and going, if you didn't have 20 mountains of toys in your home, you might think more about sitting down and reading a book.
Right.
Your brain can't actually focus with all this debris.
Right. Right.
And you sort of could imagine that you're like, yeah, but I'm creating like a wild zone for my kid and it's cool and she loves it. But actually, there's something like, sometimes orderliness can make space
1,000%
for other things.
Of course.
And you just need someone to lead you there.
But also think about how much time it takes to create orderliness.
Yes. So much time. Yes.
Because it's so much stuff and I don't know where to put it all.
Mhm.
And I don't have time to deal with it.
No.
You know what I mean? And you know, again, moms who don't even have the space that I have, you know, or
Yeah.
the time that I have. So it's so real. But these are all the things that we can all relate to on some level,
Yes.
you know, that,
Oh,
and getting back to the idea of community too. For me, the show feels, it's almost like an act of generosity.
right.
And I think that's for community too. I think I've always looked at the idea of community as an act of generosity
Right.
because I know, having experienced how important community is in my life, that I'm always looking at the people who are part of my community as, not only they're so generous to me, and then in turn, I also try to be so generous with them. Like, it is sort of this wonderful kind of back and forth of like what we can provide for each other.
Right.
And we get so much from it that it then is easy to energetically also give so much back, you know?
Do you have a sense from the women who have appeared on the show that there were elements of being on the show that they did carry forward? Like, will you
Yes.
follow up with them after?
Yes, yes. And
Tell
we
me.
have followed up with them. First of all, now they already are in this community together. And they, you know, some of them live close to each other and they have each other's contact information. And so they already now have this community of women who have all shared this experience together,
Mhm.
even though they're all very different from one another. But like, you know, I've heard, you know, Danielle got a job, you know, that's a later episode that I don't think you've
Yeah.
seen, or Kathleen went out on a date, and it's stuff like that. But it's
Right.
sort of like these things that they were able to manifest after the fact because when they made space for themselves in
Right.
their lives, when they had a little bit of help to
Right.
make space for a little bit of help and a little bit of support around them, now they can do these things that give their lives so much more fulfillment, which of
Right.
course in turn will fulfill their children in such a complete way,
Yes.
and that's really exciting to see. And that just thrills me. Listen, if nobody ends up watching this show, but we have the opportunity to make real change in people's lives, that's really exciting to me.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
That is really, and it's so funny, right? How something so like a small adjustment
Yeah.
actually can make a huge difference in your life.
That's the thing is like, what I found with these moms, and I found it with so many single moms that I know is like it feels so daunting. Like the
Right.
things that it seems like you need to overcome in order to have the space to accomplish what you want to accomplish or to feel fulfilled or even just to take a breath and relax.
Hmm.
It seems so giant and
Right.
and daunting. But, as we see on the show, I mean, obviously we come in and we have these amazing experts. Our neighbor ladies are like next
Yeah.
level incredible. But, so the things that they're able to provide in the course of a week's time, that changes everything. And you realize, oh, we can get that from our community
Right.
and we can, but you have to ask for help. And that's the other thing,
Yes, you
especially
do.
with women,
Oh, yes.
right?
Of
It's so
course.
hard to ask for help. And I found also amongst our single moms, 100% of the time, they felt guilty asking for help. And I'm like,
Right.
how do you possibly think that you're going to be able to do this by yourself? Like,
Yeah.
it's literally not possible.
Listen, I don't want to go. It's not like I want to go back in time to a time when we we all lived to the ripe old age of 38 and
Right.
like all lived on farms. I don't want to go back to that. I don't want
Uh-uh.
that. But it was so automatic in the, like
Right.
caring in a community setting was a much more automatic.
That's right.
Like even as you were saying about your neighborhood ladies or like when I
Mhm.
was growing up, like I am actually the child of a single mom and it was like very much like you're going over to the neighbor's house and that's where you watch well, we all watch TV until our eyeballs turn square. But she
Yes.
was like, you're going over to the neighbor's house and you're watching TV until dinner.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yes.
but there was sort of a place to go,
Yeah,
someone's
exactly.
basement, and then you eat a sleeve of saltine crackers, and that's
Mhm.
it. Like premier childcare,
Yes.
but it was a safety.
Yeah, it's
It was
like but
safety,
it's safety. It's safety
safety,
and it's structure to
safety,
some
and
degree.
structure. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So we're
Um,
not as. It's not as. It's just not automatic now
right.
in most communities. In some, I'm sure that still that tradition, those traditions still live, but like city life,
Yeah.
even like most
I
people's
think
lives aren't
so.
automatic.
I think it's just hard, and again, I think it's a bigger issue
Hmm.
in the culture.
Yes.
And again, goes back to COVID and the interwebs and all the
Of
things, it's
course.
all these things that have pulled us away from one another.
Has your son watched your new show?
He has not. He's seen like
Okay.
little bits and pieces, like
Right.
when we did like a teaser and like trailer
Oh,
and all that stuff.
nice.
But no. So I was like, oh, I guess maybe we could because it comes out on Monday on May 5th.
Great.
So I'm like, well, I guess we'll sit down and watch it.
Oh, yeah.
But he knows enough about it. And I think like he knows like there are a few pictures of him in it. And he's like, Mom,
Okay.
I'm in your show. I'm like, I know. It's
I know.
very proud of that.
You're in it.
You're in it.
You're in it. I mean, is there like a key thing that you wish you would have known when you were a new mom? Like, is there anything that you can think of that you wish
I mean,
that, I
so
mean,
many
so
things.
many
There's
things, but
there's a big list, but one of the most surprising things when I was a new mom that I found that the trickiest was recognizing I was dealing with a whole other human being, and like they have an entire list of needs that fills a whole day.
Right.
And I already was functioning. It's kind of what I was describing earlier. Like I was already functioning like I was filled up to here with this is how I get through my day and time things out and fulfill my needs. But now there's this whole other human that also has an entire list of things that needs to be fulfilled during the day. But they can't, I'm the one who has to fulfill those needs too.
Yeah.
So suddenly it's like there's this whole list and I'm already up to here with my list.
Right.
So where do I make space for this whole other,
Right.
That was the part that was really surprising to me, was just kind of feeling like it's literally making space to make all the decisions and take care of this other human being and make sure that they have everything they need.
You end up taking stuff off your own list. You're like, do I need to take a shower?
That's why. I mean, that was the thing that we found with all our single moms. It's like, that means their list just goes like this.
Yes, their list goes pared down to 3 things. They're like, I need to eat while standing up over a sink. I'm going to crawl around on the floor and pick up everything you didn't eat, little mini waffles, whatever. That's my lunch.
Oh my God. Do you remember all the just crappy child leftovers, mashed up child leftovers that was your lunch?
Oh, I've eaten so much food off the floor. So much. I'm like,
So
why would I waste this avocado?
No.
It only touched my floor. It wasn't like the sidewalk.
And you know what? It's already prepared. So I don't have to cut anything. I don't have to make anything else. It's ready. It's ready. Here for the taking.
It's ready to go. I do remember bringing Piper home she was the first one home from the hospital. Now it's just me and her, which is the 2 of us. And I bet that you experienced this, where I was like home with her. I'm like, first day, we're together. Who are you? Like, what is happening? Why are you looking at me?
Right.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Don't look at me.
And then at some point, someone called, like a parent, I don't know, my dad or something. And he was like, how are you doing? And I was like, I can't even eat a salad. Like I couldn't. Because I was staring at her and she was looking at me. And I was like, I don't have time to make a salad. I don't have time to eat.
You're not going to have a salad for 7 years.
7 years.
7
you can
years.
Have a salad.
Nope.
There's a moment in the first episode of your show where one of the moms is like, when the mom is like, wow, I haven't been to a coffee shop in like 4 years. And I'm like, what?
With 0 irony, by the way. Gosh,
None
I haven't
at
been
all.
to a coffee shop in so long. No irony.
Long. Yeah, it's just like, what should I even have? What do I drink?
So excited. Like, oh my God, I forgot that I could go to a coffee shop.
I forgot that I could go to a coffee shop.
Well, what about the one too of like, oh yeah, I would just like to go to the bathroom with the door shut. Remember?
Well, you can't do that until college.
No, yeah, you can't do that until college. And also like remembering like maybe I'm going to get a shower. Either I'm going to take a shower definitely either tomorrow or the next day. Like, because I think I can figure that out.
This is why they invented dry shampoo. Literally, this has to be why.
Right.
This is the origin story of dry shampoo.
It definitely came. It was invented for mothers.
This was so much fun. I love your new show.
Thank you.
Really excited to have been able to talk to you. These are like deep, deep ass cultural issues.
Right? It is.
We're all going to get a baby bonus of $5,000. That'll cover almost nothing.
That's the thing too, is like, I really, if this show can change, because I just feel like single parents, single moms get a bum rap. We just don't even talk about it. It's almost like, it's almost like we're like culturally just like, we're a little bit embarrassed about that. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, why don't we start talking about single parents as heroes? Because that's what they are.
Yes.
And
literal
by the way,
heroes.
We all know somebody who's a single parent if we haven't either been one or been raised by one.
Yes.
So like, it's not such a strange concept. Like, let's start like wrapping our arms around each other. You know what I mean?
Wrapping our arms around concepts like affordable childcare, which
Let's
would
do that.
really lift a lot of boats.
That sure would. That sure would. Well, that's why you got to keep doing what you're doing too.
Big picture.
because
Well, you
we
too,
need to
you're
have these
out there.
conversations.
Okay, last question. Are you taking your son to? I started taking my kids to protests. I'm like, all right, we're all going to protests now. I'm like, this is the job. We're all going to stand here with a sign. And my teenagers find it very embarrassing. And I'm like, that's too bad.
Well, it's funny
Tough.
because I was just as I was just telling you, I went to one recently. That's where I saw the sign about community and love.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked Yobi if you want. I said, we're going to go this, and I was going with like a couple of friends that he really likes. And I was like, you want to come? And he's like, no, I'm good. And I realized I've dragged him he's been going to protests since he was like the tiniest little tiny.
Yep.
Maybe he just wants to take a little breather.
He doesn't have to go to every single one.
I can allow that. I can allow it.
We can allow it. We can allow it.
But but I also like what you just said too about like, this is the job now, because it is the job now.
It's the job. And I was like, listen, if you want to go to Dick's Sporting Goods later and get shorts, we're going to do this first. This is the stop on the way to Dick's.
Dick's Sporting Goods is always a great draw.
Good draw, good destination.
you can always, there's always something to lure them in at Dick's Sporting Goods.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And best luck with the launch. I think people will really love it. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
That was Connie Britton, and I had no choice but to look up one thing. We were talking about dry shampoo, and I joked that it must have been made for new moms without time to wash their hair, and you know what? We weren't totally wrong. While there are mentions of using powders to clean hair for centuries, in 1971, a company called Chlorine made a spray in France meant for new moms to use in the hospital after giving birth. Oh, it's just gratifying when I know I'm right. Thanks for joining us. I'm Samantha Bee. See you next week for some more choice words. Thank you for listening to Choice Words, which was created by and is hosted by me. The show is produced by Tzvia Baron-Reinstein with editing and additional producing by Josh Richmond. We're distributed by Lemonada Media, and you can find me at RealSamB on X and Instagram. Follow Choice Words wherever you get your podcasts or listen ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership.